G'day Gooners and welcome to the post-match pod with me, George. Obviously, you're probably realising that Cal isn't here and that is because he is on holiday. Cal, I hope you're having a good one. We're going to get on with a post-match pod for the Inter Milan game. Obviously, Arsenal went away to the San Siro in their 7th Champions League game of the season. They came away from the San Siro victorious with a 3-1 win, which is brilliant. Sees Arsenal unbeaten, having won every single game so far in the Champions League phase, which means, I guess, on a wider scale, it means that now Arsenal will have all their games in the knockout stages. The second legs will be at the Emirates Stadium, which is really, really important for us. Which is brilliant. We'll also go through a little preview for the Manchester United game, which is tomorrow for me now in Australia. It's going to be a 3:30 a.m. kickoff on a Monday morning, which usual circumstances would be pretty disastrous considering we'd have work, but it is a bank holiday here in Australia tomorrow. It's Australia Day, so I will not be working, which is brilliant because it means I won't be tired in the morning. But on to the Inter Milan game. Obviously, I actually thought it was a pretty dominant performance from start to finish, but the first 15 minutes especially were particularly dominant. Our lineup for the day looked like this. Obviously, David Raya in goal, Jurrien Timber at right back, Saliba and Mosquera. Mosquera comes in after quite a large, lengthy spell out on the sidelines. Lewis Skelly at left back, Marino, Zubamendi and Eze as our midfield three, with Saka, Trossard and Gabby Jesus leading the line for us. Inter Milan's lineup looked like this. Jan Sommer in goal, Akanji, who we are obviously very familiar with for his time at Manchester City, Acerbi, seasoned professional, Bastoni, one of the best centre-backs in the world, Luis Enrique, Barella, Zielinski, Sucic, DeMarco, Lautaro Martinez and Marcus Thuram. Obviously it was a strong team we were playing against. You know, they're top of the Serie A. They've got to 2 Champions League finals in the last 3 years, this Inter Milan side. So, yeah, they're a really, really, really good side. And I thought we really stepped up to the test, to be honest with you. I thought, especially in the first 15 minutes, as I was saying, we pressed really, really high, won the ball in good areas. We were actually accessing central zones, which we don't usually do in normal circumstances. But obviously, after 10 minutes, we did get our breakthrough. Came from Eze playing the ball centrally, which we obviously struggle with usually. So I guess having someone like Eze who does like to pick the ball up in more central areas and doesn't mind contact and driving through midfielders. He played a lovely forward pass into Gabby Jesus. The ball sort of ricocheted into Jurrien Timber's path, who mishit the shot, and Gabby Jesus was there to tuck it away. It's really funny with Jesus. Whenever he has time to think about a finish, he usually does not put it in the back of the net, but his instincts are always very good and have been for a very long time, and we went 1-0 up within 10 minutes. Unfortunately, we couldn't sustain that period of dominance ongoing into the first half, because 8 minutes later, Inter Milan equalised, and I think it was Eze who did give the ball away, and we'll get into Eze's performance and generally what we think of Eze so far in an Arsenal shirt later on in the pod, but he gave the ball away. I thought actually we should sort of preface talking about their first goal with generally how I thought they counter-attacked. And I actually thought Inter counter-attacked very, very well. Luis Enrique on their right side, I think their right wing back, many times got into really, really good areas. They counter-attacked with pace. They were playing the ball into Marcus Thuram's feet or his head, and he was managing to control the ball and sort of bring others into play. And they countered with pace, and it did catch us out a few times. For their goal, obviously the ball sort of broke back into what was his name, Segasic or something like that. Sucic, that's it. Sucic's feet, and it was a great strike straight into the top corner. I mean, could we have done better to not allow it to happen? I actually thought personally Zubamendi could have really got closer to the ball before he struck it, but as soon as that ball left his feet, we all knew it was going in. However, we did sort of regain back the dominance, I would say, and it did look like we were gonna score. Obviously, Arsenal now have scored from 19 set pieces this season, and after 31 minutes, really good delivery. Ball, I think, ricocheted to, was it Trossard who sort of headed the ball across, and Gabby Jesus once again was in the right place at the right time. And we went into into half time 2-1 up, which was brilliant. Second half, really, the game opened up. Obviously, if we're looking at the game in its entirety, possession stats looked at Arsenal having 48.7% possession and Inter Milan having 51.3%. Inter had 4 shots on target with our 6. Inter had 4 corners for our 7th. Although we didn't dominate possession, I actually thought today, a few days ago now, we were quite efficient. I thought usually we are seeing quite a lot of possession without progression, but I thought today we didn't need the ball as much. Obviously, we're playing at a big away ground at the San Siro, so they were always going to dominate the ball. But we were really efficient, and I thought Gabby Jesus was huge for us today. I thought he had a great performance. Obviously, he scored the brace, but I thought more generally he linked play very well. He comes into those pockets that maybe Eze necessarily didn't want to come into on the day. And I thought the big change was in front of goal we were just super ruthless. We've seen so many times this season us having high XG numbers and high shots on target, and us not putting the ball in the back of the net. But I thought today there was a big change. We were able to convert high quality moments, which was great to see. Zubamendi, Marino and Eze obviously were midfield 3. I'm just referring to my notes, obviously. We were very good in the press, I thought, during the week. I thought we forced turnovers, and then when we won the ball, we attacked with pace, with rigorous intensity, which is different to what we're used to. I know it's very easy to say, because it's Europe, but I do think there is quite a valid argument in that, 19 teams in the Premier League mostly will sit in a low block against us. And that makes it very difficult for us to really penetrate and to find central access. But in Europe, you're not going to get the same thing, especially when you're playing away from home and you're at the team who are the best in Italy. So they are ideally representing Italian football. So they really want to, make a statement. They're not going to sit in a low block. They're going to come and try and beat us. And that's where I really think that we do thrive. Gaps really appear in central areas and we do expose them. And the same could be said when we played against Bayern Munich and others in the Champions League. We just suit the Champions League format much more because teams really do want to try and beat us. And I think that we are superior to most teams now. And it's credit to Arteta and what he's really created at this club. Obviously, the haters out there will say, what has he got to show for it? But I really do believe that this season we are the most equipped to really capitalise on the chances that I'm sure we will get. But as I said before, Inter in transition, they were very good at, once they got the ball back, really hitting us hard on the counter-attack. It was through vertical balls into Thuram, as I was saying, and Lautaro, who's a really good player first and foremost, was up there with him, and they were just sort of playing as a pair and really taking advantage of those vertical balls with the right wing back and the left wing back really capitalising on the outball. I think something slightly different to talk about really, which was the Arsenal bench today. During the week, it was very strong, and there was a time in the game where Arteta did call to the bench, and obviously Gyökeres came on, as well as Martinelli. I think Declan Rice also came on late on in the game. But it was brilliant. And after 84 minutes, although we looked like we were probably going to win the game was still in the balance. And an unbelievable pass from Martinelli with the outside of his foot into the channel for Gyökeres. Gyökeres sort of tried to feed in Saka. The ball just, sat back for Gyökeres, who just met the ball first time and hit the ball straight into the same top corner that Sucic hit in the first half. So it was a great finish, and what's really super interesting, I think, about the goals that we did score on the day was the more instinctive, being in the right place at the right time goals that Jesus scored. You'd probably find more suit the play style and the player that Gyökeres is, and the goal that Gyökeres scored was more of a Jesus type finish. So it's good that they are, I guess, varied in the way that they finish chances, and especially when games are stretched, we do look far more dangerous, which is brilliant. Obviously for us, that means that we have secured a place in the last 16. At the moment, perfect in the group. We've obviously got one game left at home against a team who aren't particularly high up in the Champions League table. So I really expect there to be a large amount of rotation. Obviously the pressure's off, which is brilliant. But I do think still we'll probably go out and win that game and sort of be completely invincible in that first group stages of the Champions League, which is obviously class. I guess what else is there to talk about? I mean, next we have Man United. Man United at home is always an entertaining game. I remember the last time I was at the Emirates for an Arsenal United game. It was the 3-1 when obviously Jesus scored that really last second winner to separate the game from United. I can't even remember if that was the same game that Declan Rice scored to make it 2-1. But maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. The games in previous years, Eddie Nketiah last second winner to win 3-2. But obviously the Premier League is a totally different beast. And if we're looking at what United have been doing of late, last 10 years, 13 years really, since Fergie left, they don't really look the same. And it's a shame. Obviously, I hate United, and most Arsenal fans will probably agree with me. But it's really, for me, I like a strong Man United in the Premier League. Obviously, they're probably the biggest club in England. Massive history, massive fan base, and it's not nice seeing them struggle so much. Obviously, I don't want them to do well, but I want them to be competitive in the Premier League and in Europe as well. I think England look better as a footballing, entity when Man United are a strong Man United. So obviously Ruben Amorim, his tenure is over. Michael Carrick has stepped up until the end of the season, and I guess their first real big test was Manchester City last weekend, and didn't they respond to the test really, really well? Apart from winning the game, I just thought they were extremely impressive. They played, a 4-4-2 out of possession. And I think what we expect to see from them against us is something similar. I guess really before we break down the Man United game in slightly more detail, and again what they were doing against Manchester City and why I think they were successful, I think it's really important for us to sort of highlight some of the player performances in the Inter Milan game. And obviously Gabriel Jesus with the brace, really, really important. It does raise the question, does he deserve to start against Man United? Again, I don't really know the answer to that. Tactically, I think probably he should start. I just think Arsenal look far more fluid when he is leading the line for us. He's just far more of a footballer than Gyökeres is. Gyökeres, undoubtedly, his record does prove that he is a much better finisher than Jesus. But I think we get the most out of our wingers when Jesus does play. And listen, Havertz obviously has a role to play in for the rest of the season too. But I'm not sure he's match fit, so I'm not sure Man United has come at the right time for him to really start leading the line for us, which I think he probably will do long term. Mosquera, let's talk about Mosquera. Obviously he's come in from Valencia for a really small fee. No one really knew him. He's 21 years old and he's been injured for 6 weeks, but it doesn't feel like it. He steps in, and honestly, there was some, situations during the game where I actually thought it was Saliba just because of the camera angle, but it proved to be Mosquera, and that's just a testament to the way that he's really playing and the confidence that he's playing with. I think he's a really, really top player, and no disrespect to Rob Holding or even Tomiyasu and his injury record, and just the way that Arsenal's defenders, even Kivior of the past, he's just so reliable. He's just such a top class player, and it's the same with Hincapié, and Hincapié is fit. I just think now that when we rotate, it doesn't feel like the burden is so large, and that it really takes away from the performance. So, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant, and I thought he had a great game. I guess moving on to Eze. Eze's a really complicated one. Obviously, he's coming for quite a big fee from Crystal Palace, being their main talisman, scoring a goal in an FA Cup final, winning them their first trophy in God knows how long. Comes to Arsenal, his boyhood club. Let it all work out, He's such a top player, and I really, really wanted him. I was a massive advocate for Eze, and especially the way it happened with Spurs and everything. And then he went on to score against Palace. He scored a hat-trick against Spurs, which I guess undoubtedly will have him written in Arsenal folklore probably forever. And if we do go on to win big things, and I think we probably will, he will be remembered for that performance alone. But I'm not sure it's enough. And since then, really, we haven't really seen a convincing Eze performance since. And listen, it's difficult, when he's not playing regularly. And Martin Odegaard, obviously captain of the football club, comes back in, has a few really, really good performances, and then a few not so good performances on the back of those good ones. It just makes it very difficult for Eze. Coming off the bench, he doesn't really know what position he's going to play in. Is he going to play off the left? Is he going to play centrally? And if he's going to play centrally, is he going to play as a right 8? Is he going to play as a left 8? There's different roles for him. And I think with all footballers, you need consistency. I find personally when I'm playing, if I'm not playing regularly and if I'm not playing in the same, position or system regularly, it makes it so hard, and coming off the bench is not easy. There is only a certain personality type and a certain type of player who can really be beneficial when coming off the bench. I know Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for Man United is one that comes off the top of my head. Even Trossard for Arsenal in the past, maybe not this season, but of seasons previous, has had that role of, the 12th man and coming off the bench and just being able to impact a game within 20 minutes. But most players need rhythm, and they need time in a game to really feel what the game needs of them, and feel the tempo of the game, and therefore how they can contribute to enhancing that tempo. But yeah, he is struggling a lot. He's struggling in contact. I think off the ball, he's struggling probably more than on it. But I think after the Aston Villa game where Matty Cash sort of ran off him twice, one of which was to score, I think he's been punished by Arteta, and rightly or wrongly, I just think that Arteta now, from the media, from the fans, from the club, has no excuse to not really go and try and win. So he's trying to limit all the possible risk of us not being able to get across the line. And I think one of those things is how we are defensively. And I know what all the media say, how boring we are to watch, set piece FC and all that, but as Thierry Henry correctly said, he has been given the chance to and the task to really get this team to win, and we shouldn't be complaining as fans of Arsenal how he does that. I personally don't care how he does it. If it's scoring 38 set pieces in a season, winning every game 1-0, doesn't matter. We win the league, and that to me is the most important thing at the moment. It's not really how we do it. It is that we do it. So the fact that Eze isn't really getting as much game time as we would have liked him to is disappointing. It's really disappointing. But I think there's so many minutes and so many games to play until the season ends. So I think he'll definitely contribute more than he has already, which I guess in some ways is still a lot, considering he scored the hat-trick against Spurs. I see him personally as a left winger, coming off the left-hand side, working in tandem with a Jesus or a Gyökeres. I know Gyökeres' goal against, was it Forest? Where he Eze had the ball on the left-hand side and with his left foot first time played the ball across goal, where Gyökeres met it to finish within the 6-yard box. I see him being really, really strong in those areas. I also see him as a really, really good 1v1 player. So he can create separation in different ways to Martinelli and Trossard. And I think if he's given a lot of time out there, the off-the-ball stuff will work itself out, and I think he could be really, really good. I think a front three containing him and Saka, it could be extremely dominant. But I guess we won't know until we see it. Shall we move on to the Manchester United game? we were saying previously that obviously United, Carrick's come in. His first test really was the Manchester derby, and they really showed up and they were incredible. 2-0 finish on the day. Obviously, a few goals were offside, so it could have been more. They played in a 4-4-2 zonal press against City. I saw really, really good analysis on Monday Night Football with Carragher and Henry, sort of explaining exactly how they did that. But to break it down for you, they forced the ball to the young centre-back Max. Obviously, he was playing left centre-back on the day, but he's right-footed. So they were letting him have the ball. They were... What I really sort of enjoyed seeing from them was their ability and their braveness in the press. Obviously, Kobbie Mainoo and Casemiro were the pivots for them, but Kobbie Mainoo was jumping straight onto Rodri. He was jumping onto Rodri, forcing the ball long. So obviously, young Max was playing long balls into Haaland, but Martinez and Maguire were sort of sweeping up quite well, which meant that they were sort of forcing the ball into the Manchester United midfield. Interestingly enough, for their midfielders, they were playing very, very narrow. So the distance between Dorgu, who was playing on the left-hand side, and Ahmad, who was playing on the right-hand side, was nothing really much more than 20 metres, which... I think personally we can use that to our advantage. I think they're probably going to do the same thing against us. I believe, obviously they defended when they were defending in the deep block. They were defending in exactly the same way. It was a 4-4-2, but they were trying to compact the middle. And I think Man City are so strong in those 10 areas. They play with obviously Bernardo Silva, Cherki, Phil Foden. They have many players, Reinders, who can occupy those, I guess, half spaces and have the ball in the pockets. But from a Manchester City point of view, they weren't really occupying those spaces on the day, which is probably why they weren't very successful. They were far too in front of, blocks, trying to receive the ball front-facing instead of receiving the ball beyond those lines. But they're going to play the same way against us, I believe. I think it might suit us. I don't think that Eze will play in this game. I would play Eze on the left, but I don't think he will play in this game. I think the midfield three will be Zubimendi, Rice and Odegaard. And I think in build-up, Mainoo will be pressing Zubimendi. He'll be trying to stop build-up through our number 6. So to me, the rotation between him and Rice is really, really important, especially in that build-up phase, just to confuse United and their press and just have different solutions. I think as well, Odegaard, something that he does super well is rotate himself into that number 6 position, and Zubimendi has the IQ to really rotate out of that space, and that I think could be really, really key for us in building up successfully and sort of drawing them into us, forcing them to press us high. Zubimendi or Rice will take Mainoo away from the situation, and that's when Odegaard will spin in and we'll be able to play out. And once we play out, I think this is where we could really hurt United. Obviously, as I mentioned previously, their wingers were playing very, very narrow. So I think that will allow us to have our wingers on the ball 1v1 in certain situations. So I think Shaw and Dalot will have their tests on the day. Obviously, Shaw at left back, which means he'll be facing Bukayo Saka 1v1. We all know how that will go. And on the other side, I expect Trossard to be facing Dalot. So if we can get the ball out to those two quickly, I think we can really, really cause United some problems. Needless to say, I thought they did really, really well against Man City and totally deserved the win. But for us, I guess in terms of United's 11, this is what I sort of expect to see. Lehman's in goal, who I think's really been impressive for them since his coming for Onana. Obviously, Onana pretty controversial as a goalkeeper just in general, but I know when he was playing for Inter Milan, he got them to a Champions League final. So how bad could he really be? But they'll go to a back four as they did against City. Shaw, Martinez, Maguire, Dalot will be their back four with Mainoo and Casemiro in front as their double pivot. Dorgu on the left, Bruno as the number 10. Obviously, Amad Diallo on the right-hand side with Mbeumo up top. Dangerous players. They've got really, really dangerous forwards. I think, obviously, Bruno Fernandes has a really, really important role for them. Sort of the catalyst for them in terms of creating chances. And listen, he's a world-class player. I hate to admit it. I don't like his attitude. He's a massive rat, in my opinion. Don't really like the way he conducts himself, especially as a leader. But he does lead by example on the pitch in terms of the goals and the assists. You know, they really speak for themselves. And I think, you know, if we had him in our squad, he could be really, really, really effective for us and score loads of goals, get loads of assists, etc. But he's doing the same for them in a team that aren't performing particularly well. But it's funny because I haven't really looked at the Premier League table in a while. I sort of only look at us and those around us. But United aren't doing too badly. You know, they're in 5th. They're on 35 points actually. With Liverpool losing again, they're only 1 point behind them. So if they do come to us and get even just a point, they'll be on level points with a Champions League spot. And obviously, God forbid they come to the Emirates and beat us, they'll be in 4th spot. So listen, it's a massive game. It's a massive game. I really, really hope the Emirates crowd are lively. They usually are when it comes to big games like this. My 11, what I expect to see will be obviously David Raya in goal. I'd go with... See, I'm conflicted because what I think will happen, what I think Arteta will choose is probably slightly different to what I would do personally. But I think Arteta will go with obviously David Raya in goal. I think he'll go with Ben White at right back, with Gabriel and Saliba at centre half. I think Yuri and Timber will go slotting at left back like he did in our last game against Forest. I think Zubimendi, Rice, Odegaard will be the midfield 3 with Saka, Gyökeres and Trossard as our front 3. Now, I would go slightly different. I would probably go with Timber at right back. I'd go again with Gabriel and Saliba at centre back. I'd go with Miles Lewis-Skelly at left back. Reason being, I just think, firstly, his performances have improved of late. Obviously, this season he hasn't hit the same heights as he did last season in his outbreak season where I thought he was outstanding. And it's a real shame, really, that he's not really getting the game time that he deserves. But Calafiori has been too good. I guess, thinking on my feet, I have actually seen that Calafiori is back in training. So maybe I would actually go back to what I believe is our strongest back 4. So scrap everything I just said and try and hear me out. I know that's probably quite annoying. But obviously, David Raya in goal. I'd go with Calafiori at left back, Gabriel and Saliba at centre back, and I would go with Yuri and Timber at right back. Zubimendi, Rice, Odegaard is my midfield 3, and then the front 3 stays the same: Saka, Gyökeres, and Trossard. Again, my personal preference, I'd probably go with Jesus and Eze in that front 3 alongside Saka, but I don't think that's what Mikel Arteta will do. And you got to back him, you got to back the coach. So we'll go with that. Score predictions on the day. I think that we are going to win. I think that we are going to win convincingly because, I don't know, I think United have so much to prove in terms of them coming to us and really trying to get a good result. I'm not sure they're going to sit that deep on the day. So I reckon my score prediction will be 3-1 to Arsenal. I've just got a text from my girlfriend Caitlin. She thinks it's going to be 2-1 Arsenal. So we'll see who's right in that one. I'll try and get a score prediction from Cal as well and get that on the TikTok or the Instagram for you all. As always, guys, thank you so much for the continued support. Obviously, we've only been going for a few months now, but the growth has been amazing. It's been great to see all the comments and all the, I guess, the shares, the likes, the subscriptions. But please continue to do so. I'm expecting a win at the Emirates. Massive game for Arsenal. We'll extend our league at the top of the table. Obviously, Man City did win this morning, but we have to go and win. We have to go and win. It's a massive game. We have to put out a statement after a really, really good performance midweek. But that, I guess, is all we have time for. I look forward to seeing all of you in the comments. And yes, have a good day, Gooners.